Feeling lost or conflicted inside? You're not alone. Maybe you've been taught to man up when you really feel like breaking down. Perhaps you measure yourself against expectations that leave you feeling never enough. You might chase success, respect, or happiness, yet still feel a void. I see you. It's tough carrying these unseen burdens, the doubts, the disappointments, the pressure to appear strong when inside you feel anything but. Let's take a deep breath together. This essay is a conversation about those struggles and how to overcome them. It's about redefining what it means to be a true man in a way that actually feels right and brings real growth and happiness. Right now, you might be battling yourself internally, trying to reconcile who you are with who you think you should be. It's okay to admit that battle is happening. In fact, that's the first virtue of a true man. Honesty with oneself. Let's start by compassionately acknowledging that being a man doesn't mean being invulnerable. It means having the courage to face your vulnerabilities and grow from them. What if your very struggles are the path to becoming stronger and happier? In this video, we'll explore how to turn those internal battles into your greatest victories. What ideas about real men did you grow up with? Many of us inherited myths about masculinity that do more harm than good. Real men don't cry. Real men are always confident and in control. Success and toughness equal happiness. You've probably heard these before. These beliefs are like a heavy armor, meant to protect us perhaps, but also weighing us down. Wearing this armor, you might feel you must smile through pain, solve every problem alone, and never show fear or sadness. It's exhausting, isn't it? But what if true strength isn't what we've been told? Picture a man holding back tears at a funeral because he believes crying would make him weak. Is he really stronger for suppressing his grief? Or is he simply hurting alone behind a mask? Now imagine another man who allows himself to weep openly for a lost loved one. It takes courage to show that kind of vulnerability. Which of them is freer? Which is more honest? The second man isn't controlled by fear of others' opinions, and that is a quiet kind of strength. Let's challenge the limiting belief that happiness comes from external approval or stoic perfection. No one is happy all the time, and no one has it all figured out. Even the most admired men in history had doubts and emotional moments. The difference is, those who grow and thrive learn not to be trapped by these misconceptions. A true man questions the stereotypes. He realizes that empathy, openness, and humility are virtues, not signs of weakness. He understands that being a tough guy on the outside means nothing if he's falling apart on the inside. Ask yourself, are the standards I'm trying to meet truly helping me become better, or just making me miserable? If it's the latter, it's time to break the mold and redefine strength and happiness on your terms. Take a moment to consider what's happening inside you, the swirl of feelings you might usually push down. Anger, fear, sadness, shame. Many of us treat these like unwelcome guests. We think ignoring them makes us strong. But denying emotions doesn't resolve them. It often amplifies them in destructive ways. It's like trying to hold an inflated beach ball underwater. You can only press it down for so long before it bursts up even harder. Sooner or later, suppressed feelings surface, sometimes as stress, irritability, or sudden breakdowns. Why do we fear our own feelings? Perhaps because we were told a real man is always composed. Yet, in truth, facing your emotions takes far more strength than hiding them. Psychologist Carl Jung recognized that each of us carries a hidden side, which he called the shadow. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is, Jung wrote. In other words, the more we deny our flaws or painful feelings, the more those hidden parts of us can trip us up. A man who refuses to admit he ever feels afraid might develop uncontrolled anxiety or lash out in anger when fear inevitably arises. A man who buries guilt or insecurity might sabotage his own goals without understanding why. Jung's insight is that acknowledging your darker feelings and impulses is the first step to mastering them. A true man has the courage to look in the mirror and see all of himself, the good and the bad, with honesty and compassion. Try to embrace your emotions as signals, not enemies. Feeling anxious before a big decision? That anxiety might be telling you that this matters to you. Feeling sad after a loss? That sadness honors what was important to you. Emotions are part of being human. They are not unmanly. What is manly, in the truest sense, is using self-awareness to understand those emotions. Instead of saying, "I shouldn't feel this," ask, "Why do I feel this, and what can I learn from it?" This simple shift turns emotional moments into opportunities for growth. For example, jealousy might teach you about something you deeply care about, or anger might reveal a boundary that's been crossed. Each emotion, even the uncomfortable ones, carries information. By paying attention instead of pushing them away, you gain wisdom about yourself. That wisdom is a powerful virtue. Think of self-awareness as turning on a light inside a dark room. At first, you might not like everything you see. The fears, the resentments, the regret over past mistakes. It's tempting to switch the light back off. But remember, every man fights inner battles. Shining light on yours is how you start to win them. You can't fix what you won't face. So give yourself permission to feel and to reflect. Journaling, talking to a trusted friend or counselor, or just taking quiet moments to ask, "What am I feeling and why?" are all ways to build this emotional intelligence. Over time, you'll notice those intense feelings become easier to manage. They won't disappear, and they don't need to, but they won't control you from the shadows. Ask yourself, what heavy feelings am I carrying that I haven't faced? Imagine finally setting them down and understanding them. How much lighter could you feel? Life will inevitably throw challenges your way. A harsh comment from someone, a career setback, a relationship falling apart, a personal failure. When something bad happens, it's natural to feel upset. But here's a game-changing truth. It's not the event itself that determines how you feel, but how you interpret the event. Two people can experience the exact same situation and feel completely different about it. The difference lies in their minds, not the external circumstances. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it this way: "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things." Think about that. If you lose your job, you might interpret it as, "I'm worthless," and sink into despair. Or you might interpret it as, "This is my chance to find something better," and feel hopeful or determined. Which interpretation will help you move forward? Epictetus even advises that when we're upset, we should never impute it to others, but to ourselves. That is, to our own views. This isn't about blaming yourself for everything that happens. It's about recognizing the power you have in how you respond. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it this way: "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things." Think about that. If you lose your job, you might interpret it as, "I'm worthless," and sink into despair. Or you might interpret it as, "This is my chance to find something better," and feel hopeful or determined. Which interpretation will help you move forward? Epictetus even advises that when we're upset, we should never impute it to others, but to ourselves. That is, to our own views. This isn't about blaming yourself for everything that happens. It's about recognizing the power you have in how you respond. Consider a vivid analogy. Life is like sailing on the open sea. You can't control the wind or the waves. Sometimes storms will come, sometimes there will be calm. But you are the captain of your ship. You adjust your sails to the wind you're given. If a storm hits, you can curse the storm, which does nothing, or you can focus on steering your ship through it. Perspective works the same way. You choose where to steer your thoughts. Will you focus on what's out of your control, or on what you can do? Ask yourself, how do I explain setbacks and hardships to myself? Do you see them as permanent disasters, or as temporary challenges? Do you take them as personal punishments, or simply as part of the human experience? By changing the story, you tell yourself about what happens. You change how you feel and what you do next. This shift in perspective is incredibly liberating. It means that even if you can't choose what happens to you, you can always choose what it means to you. And in that meaning lies your freedom and strength. Now, let's pair perspective with another virtue, acceptance. If perspective is about choosing your interpretation, acceptance is about recognizing what you cannot change and making peace with it. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and also found in Buddhist teachings and modern therapy. It might sound odd at first, accept what I don't like, but acceptance isn't about liking something bad or giving up on improvement. It's about acknowledging reality instead of resisting it futilely. Think of it like this. You can either yell at the rain to stop and get wet anyway, or accept that it's raining and grab an umbrella. Either way, it's raining, but one choice clearly leads to a better outcome. A powerful example of acceptance comes from psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the horrors of a Nazi concentration camp. Frankl observed that even in the worst situation, we retain one freedom, the freedom to choose our attitude. He wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." In other words, when life's circumstances are fixed, when the rain of hardship is pouring, the only thing left to adjust is the self. This kind of acceptance is not weakness, it's wisdom. It doesn't mean you approve of the bad situation. It means you acknowledge it honestly so you can devote your energy where it matters. Detachment goes hand in hand with acceptance. Detachment means not clinging desperately to outcomes or things outside your control. It doesn't mean not caring at all. It means caring the right amount about the right things. Imagine holding a bar of soap tightly. Squeeze too hard, and it shoots out of your hand. Similarly, clinging too tightly to anything, a job title, a relationship, an image of yourself as a perfect man, can cause you to lose it or lose yourself in the process. A true man learns to hold his goals and relationships with love and commitment, but also with a loose grip. Do your very best in whatever you pursue, but understand that the outcome isn't entirely up to you. You can influence people, but you can't force them. You can work hard, but you can't dictate results. The Stoics had a practice called the dichotomy of control. They divided the world into two categories: what is up to us and what is not. Your own thoughts, actions, and values are up to you. Other people's actions, natural events, and outcomes are usually not. Happiness comes from focusing on the first category and accepting the second. It's amazingly practical. Next time you feel overwhelmed, try this. Write down everything about the situation that's bothering you. Then mark each item as can control or can't control. You'll often find most of the stressors are things you can't directly control, like other people's opinions or the past. Your job then is to practice letting go of those and put your effort into what you can control, like preparing well, learning a new skill, or communicating your feelings calmly. Detachment also means not tying your identity to external success. If your self-worth is attached to, say, making a lot of money or never failing, then any dip in the stock market or a single mistake can shatter you. But if your self-worth comes from knowing you act with integrity and resilience, then no external event can take that away. This inner security is what makes a man truly unshakable. Ask yourself, what have I been gripping too tightly in life? What would happen if I loosened my grip? You might fear losing control, but ironically, by letting go of the illusion of control, you gain peace. You stop exhausting yourself on the impossible and start investing in the possible. Acceptance and detachment, practiced together, free you from a lot of unnecessary pain. They allow you to face life's ups and downs with a calm and steady spirit. Resilience is the virtue that ties many of these ideas together. It's what happens when you embrace challenges with perspective, accept what you can't change, and keep moving forward anyway. A resilient man is not someone who never falls. It's someone who always gets back up. Life's trials, instead of defeating him, become fuel for growth. Think of resilience as a spring. Push it down and it bounces back up. Each setback can actually build that spring stronger if you approach it the right way. Consider how metal is tempered into steel. To make a sword, a blacksmith heats raw iron in a forge and then hammers it. The process is intense. Fire and blows. But this stress is what makes the metal tougher and more flexible. Without the heat and hammering, the sword would be brittle and weak. Now think of your character as that metal, the fires of adversity. Whether it's a hardship like losing someone you love, a failure like a business that went under, or a personal trial like overcoming an addiction, these can forge you into a stronger man. It's often through our hardest experiences that we develop courage, patience, and wisdom. Is there a trial in your life that left you scarred? Perhaps at the time you thought it would break you. But you're here now, reading this, which means it didn't. You made it through. What did you learn from it? Maybe it taught you compassion, or it taught you that you're stronger than you realized, or it pushed you to change direction in life. Our interpretation, again, is key. You can view a trial as unjust suffering to lament endlessly, or as the very thing that shaped your character. What if you chose to see your past struggles as training, preparing you for the challenges to come? This mindset doesn't magically erase pain, but it gives pain a purpose. Resilience also involves optimism, not naive, blind optimism, but a realistic confidence that you can handle whatever comes next. It's looking at a problem and thinking, "This is tough, but I will find a way through it." It's telling yourself, "I've survived hardships before. I can survive this too." Every time you overcome an obstacle, no matter how small, you build a little more confidence for the next one. It's like doing repetitions in a gym. Each time you lift a weight, you tear muscle fibers just a bit, and when they heal, they grow back stronger. So it is with emotional and mental challenges. Each time you rebound from a setback, you strengthen your resilience muscle. Let's not sugarcoat it. Resilience doesn't mean you won't feel pain or disappointment. You will. You might cry, you might get frustrated, you might need time to heal. But resilience means, after all that, you choose to stand up and move forward. It means you don't label yourself a permanent victim or let the hardship define you. Instead, you decide you will define how this hardship fits into your life story, as a turning point, a lesson, maybe even a blessing in disguise. Many people later say that a failure or loss, painful as it was, made them a better person by forcing them to grow. Could that be true for you too? What if your biggest challenge today is actually shaping you into the man you need to become tomorrow? It's inspiring to talk about these virtues: empathy, self-awareness, responsibility, acceptance, detachment, resilience. But how do you actually start living them? Let's break it down into practical steps you can begin practicing right now. You don't have to transform overnight. Small, consistent actions and mindset shifts lead to big changes over time. Here are some concrete ways to apply what we've discussed. 1. Acknowledge your feelings instead of avoiding them. The next time you feel upset, whether it's stress, sadness, or anger, pause and identify what you're feeling. Name it. I'm really anxious about this meeting, or I feel hurt that my friend canceled our plans. This might sound simple, but just naming your emotion can diffuse some of its power and clarify your mind. Write it down in a journal or say it out loud. Ask yourself why you feel that way. Treat it as getting valuable data about yourself. Remember, as we discussed, ignoring emotions only makes them stronger in the shadows. By acknowledging them, you're shining a light. This habit builds self-awareness and emotional intelligence over time. 2. Question your beliefs about being a man. We all have inner scripts learned from society or childhood. Pay attention to thoughts like, I have to handle this alone, or if I show emotion, people will think I'm weak. Challenge those thoughts. Ask, is that really true? Who says? Often, you'll find these are outdated rules you never consciously chose. Replace them with healthier beliefs. Asking for help when I need it is smart, not weak. Being honest about my feelings can actually improve my relationships and relieve pressure. You define what masculinity means to you. Choose definitions that make you a better, happier person, rather than keep you in a box. For example, decide that a true man is someone who is kind, responsible, and authentic, not someone who has to fit a macho caricature. 3. Take ownership of your reactions. When something goes wrong or someone irritates you, practice the habit of looking at your part in it. Ask, what can I do right now to improve this situation, or at least how I feel about it? This shifts your focus from blame to action. If you're stuck in traffic and feeling angry, you obviously can't clear the traffic jam. But you can change your perspective. Maybe use the time to listen to a good podcast or simply practice patience. If you had a fight with your spouse, you can't undo the hurtful things said, but you can take responsibility for your part and apologize sincerely, or suggest a constructive talk to understand each other. By consistently focusing on your own choices, you reinforce that internal locus of control. You move from being a passive recipient of life's events to an active shaper of your life. 4. Reframe challenges as opportunities. Try this exercise. Think of a current challenge you're facing, big or small. Now write down 2 different stories about it. In the first story, your usual perspective, list all the negatives. Why it's unfair, how it's hurting you, how you wish it hadn't happened. In the second story, force yourself to list any potential positives, lessons it might teach, new paths it could open, ways it's making you stronger or bringing out your virtues. For instance, if you're struggling in your career, the negatives might be, I hate feeling uncertain, I might fail. But the positives could be, this is pushing me to learn new skills. Maybe I'll end up in a job I enjoy more. I'm developing perseverance. You don't have to believe the second story completely yet, but by writing it, you train your mind to see silver linings. Over time, you'll start naturally reframing challenges. You'll face difficulties thinking, all right, this is tough, but what can I gain from this? This mindset turns you into a resilient problem solver rather than a helpless victim. 5. Practice acceptance on small things daily. Acceptance, like any skill, strengthens with practice. Start with minor annoyances. The next time you face a small inconvenience, say a long line at the store, a spilled coffee, or a plan falling through, notice your impulse to get upset. Then consciously tell yourself, it is what it is. I'll focus on what I can do next. Maybe you use the wait in line to quietly breathe and relax instead of fuming. Maybe you laugh off the spilled coffee and clean it up, knowing accidents happen. By doing this with little things, you're training your mind for the bigger stuff. You'll begin to build a reflex of calm acceptance. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means when something is truly out of your hands, you acknowledge that fact quickly and move on to what is in your hands. It's incredibly freeing and prevents a lot of unnecessary stress. 6. Develop a resilience routine. Just as you might exercise to strengthen your body, do things that strengthen your spirit. This could include stepping out of your comfort zone regularly. Take a cold shower. Try a new hobby where you might be a beginner. Engage in a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, politely and honestly. Each time you voluntarily do something a bit hard or uncomfortable, you prove to yourself you can survive it. Also, reflect on your day or week to celebrate your small wins and how you overcame hurdles. Maybe you wanted to quit during a tough workout but pushed through, or you woke up feeling down but still went to work and did your best. Recognize those moments. That's resilience in action. Another powerful practice is gratitude. It might sound unrelated, but noticing what you're grateful for, even amid problems, builds optimism and resilience. If you can still appreciate a sunset or a kind word from a friend on a bad day, you're training your mind to not be drowned by negatives. All these small practices compound. Over weeks and months, you'll notice you handle stress better and recover from setbacks faster. By incorporating these steps bit by bit, you'll start to notice a shift. You'll feel more in control of yourself, even if the world around you remains chaotic. You'll find that challenges don't knock you down as easily, and when they do, you get back up more quickly. Importantly, you'll start respecting yourself more, because you're actively doing the work to become the person you want to be. Isn't that a key virtue of a true man? To live with intention and effort, shaping himself through conscious action? Every step you take is an affirmation that you are not stuck. You are growing. We've journeyed through a lot of ideas, from debunking macho myths to embracing vulnerability, from changing perspectives to practicing acceptance and resilience. At the heart of it, the virtues of a true man aren't about some macho ideal or checking off societal boxes. They're internal qualities that any man can cultivate. Honesty, especially with oneself, empathy, accountability for one's own life, courage to face reality, and the perseverance to keep evolving. These are virtues that build character, and character is what sustains a man through all the highs and lows of life. Remember, no one is perfect at this, and you don't have to be. Even with all this knowledge, you'll have days when old habits or thoughts creep back. You might catch yourself avoiding a hard feeling or blaming someone else for your frustration. That's okay. The point isn't to never slip. It's to catch yourself when you do and gently course correct. Every day is a new chance to practice these virtues. Over time, what used to be hard will start feeling more natural. You'll notice you handle conflicts with more calm. You don't beat yourself up as much for mistakes. You stand a little taller because you know what you stand for. As a final takeaway, I invite you to take one actionable step today. Think about everything you've heard and choose one thing that resonated with you deeply. Maybe it's, I'm going to finally talk to someone about the stress I've been under. Or, when I get home and face chaos with the kids, I'll remember to accept what I can't control and keep my cool. Or, I'm going to rewrite the story I've been telling myself about my recent failure. It could be as simple as writing a note to yourself with a new belief, like I have the power to choose my response, and sticking it where you'll see it. Do it now. A small first step while the idea is fresh. I also challenge you, for the next week, practice one virtue each day. Maybe Monday you focus on honesty with yourself. You'll admit what you're feeling and what you truly want. Tuesday, focus on taking responsibility. Catch yourself whenever you start to blame circumstances and instead take one positive action. Wednesday, practice acceptance of any frustration that arises. Thursday, deliberately reframe a challenge to find a hidden benefit. Friday, do something outside your comfort zone to build resilience. Jot down how each day goes. This isn't a test you pass or fail. It's simply a way to start living these ideas in small doses. By the end of the week, you'll likely feel a shift in confidence and mindset. The virtues of a true man are already within you, waiting to be developed. Every time you choose to face fear instead of run, to take ownership instead of complain, to get up after falling, you are practicing those virtues. You become, bit by bit, the kind of man you admire. And that doesn't just benefit you, it lights a path for others around you, friends, family, even children who look up to you, to do the same. So start now. Be the captain of your own ship, the author of your own story, the architect of your character. The journey won't always be easy, but it will be worth it. In the end, the true measure of a man is not in what happens to him, but in how he chooses to respond. Choose well, and step into the true strength and freedom that has been yours to claim all along. You've got this.